All right. Hello, once again, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Summit Podcast. Who am I kidding? This week's episode. We try to do one once a week, but it never happens that way. We were getting down to the bottom of the barrel and looking for guests, and I stumbled onto the MidSouth Pond dude. This guy, his name's Bubba Hogan. All kidding aside, Bubba's a guy I met through a contractor coaching group called the Contractor Fight a few years ago. We've become great friends, mentors of one another, coaching clients, and Bubba's been responsible for putting me in some rooms in the last year or so that I hadn't considered getting into, and introduced me to some people that have been influential in helping me with my coaching business. So we joke around a lot, and you'll see that today. We have a good time together, but in the end, I'm grateful for your knowledge, your mentorship, and your friendship. So Bubba, thank you for coming on the Summit Podcast.
I appreciate you having me, Bob.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you're here. And back to me. So anyway, I'm just kidding. I've got a few things that, we could take this about any direction. You're one of those guys that I can always just have a conversation with. But one of the things that struck me about you is that you didn't just start your business and be in it for 30 years. You had another career first and then kind of started into this, or even started it at the same time or during it. Tell me a little bit about that. Let's kick things off that way.
Well, I guess it all started when Mom and Dad hooked up one night. We're not going that far back, I guess, are we? It's a late winter night there, in 74. But no, excuse me. Now, I graduated high school, and in college, I worked at a garden center, or not a garden center, but a nursery wholesale. We shipped out plants all over the country and kind of got a little bit of a gardening type bug. We always had a garden as a kid, things like that, mowed the yard and the house and everything. But I grew up in a family. My dad was a deputy sheriff. My granddad was a deputy sheriff. So I always grew up wanting to be a deputy sheriff. So when I got old enough, I'd worked, like I said, at the nursery, shipping plants out during college. But then when I got old enough to go to the academy, I left and went to the sheriff's office and got hired there. Worked there 26 years, but during that time frame, about 2 years into it, I guess, me and my partner had a crazy idea. Hey, let's make some more money, because we weren't making money as public servants. So we decided we'd cut some grass. He had a son, teenage son, I guess, and I had a middle school age brother, and we're like, let's use them. His son never showed up. My brother came, and we worked him like a dog.
Brothers of four, right?
Yeah. So one thing led to another, I guess, over the years, and the brother become the head of our construction now, 24, 25 years later. He's running that. And like I said, I worked sheriff's office and retired just shortly after COVID in 2022 is when I retired. I'd always talked about it, but like I said, I've got 5 kids. And it was one of those, every time I looked at getting ready to leave or retire, it's like insurance was good. I got young kids at the house, and that fear in the back of my mind stepped in and said, hey, you're not going to succeed at this. You got a steady job. The 1st and the 15th, you're going to have a paycheck. You're not going to get fired. The only thing you can get fired or get in trouble for is if you lie or commit a felony.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that, I can see, what drove you to entrepreneurship, because 5 kids on a sheriff's salary, that was some skinny living, I'm sure. You guys have grown, a lot in the last couple of years. And one of the things that I've seen you do is kind of step into Florida. And I know that from time to time we'll talk, and I'm down here in Florida this week doing this. How has expanding into a different state with your business affected you? Has it been good, been bad? Have you enjoyed it?
It's been good. We've had some good times. It's one of those things. A couple of years back, me and the wife talked, and teeter with the idea of maybe moving to Florida. That's where she was born and raised. Her mom and dad lived there, so they're in Pensacola, they're in the Panhandle. Over the years, every time we go down there to visit, I'd look around back in the day with the yellow pages and say, is there a pond company around? Yeah. Never could find a pond company. And I was like, this might be a good market, an area here with Destin and Pensacola. And you're just up in that area. And I was like, well, about 2 years ago, I decided, let's give it a shot and at least get a website going, do a little advertising, see if we can get something. It's not a bad drive. It's 5-6 hours. I can find one guy to kind of operate a little bit, and we can come down there on a bigger build and go down and do it for 3 or 4 days. And one thing or another, and it's kind of expanded the last couple of years now, or last year here. And this year, we've already done one build already this year down there. So sometimes it takes its toll on the guys leaving town for a week and a half. But luckily, I got a couple of single guys that don't mind traveling.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that, it can be a young man's game, right? It's hard work what you guys do. Yeah, you have machinery, but I've seen the pictures from from social media, and they're in the hole, they're doing stuff. It's manual labor at its finest, right?
Yeah, it's not always just sitting on the beach with the umbrella and feet propped up in the sand like I like to pose it to a lot of people.
Right, right. You put on a good
not that
front.
I go out and do a whole lot of the manual labor occasionally. I'll get up in the machine and run it. That's about the extent now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was I remember it was April or May of last year when you hurt your back, or when that presented, right?
It was Easter weekend last year, the Tuesday before Easter. All of a sudden I was at the gym. I've been working out, probably getting in the best shape that I've been in the last 10 years, and been on a roll for about 2 years. And then all of a sudden went to just light arm curling to lift up. And all of a sudden I felt sharp pain just shoot down the back of my legs. I thought I was standing wrong. I didn't have but like 30 pounds. I mean, like I said, it was lightweight warming up, but then I did it again and pain shot again, and didn't think anything of it. It really didn't hurt a whole lot at the time after I put the weights down. It wasn't like it was bothering me, but over the course of about 5-6 days, my legs started getting weaker, and within a week, I couldn't even stand up.
Wow. Now I've seen the X-ray or the scan of the film. You got some hardware in there now, and I've spent some time with you, and the recovery's been slow. What do you have for hardware in your back?
They told me I got an 8-inch rod. I've got I guess it's two big gashes, about 8 to 10 inches on each side. Looks like a football goalpost on the back of my back, going up the middle, and then on my side I've got a little 4-inch gash where they had the robot arm to put the screws in, but they got an 8-inch rod. They put a spacer between my vertebrae 3, 4, and 5, and then they had some anchors to hold the screws in. Ended up getting 14 screws just because of the size of me and all. He was like, he wanted to make sure he got it in there good, that it was tightened up. It was more extensive than what the original MRI he looked at and thought he was going to be able to do, just the 4 and 5. And the more he studied it and did a second MRI, and they decided it'd be best. If not, I'd probably be back in within the year to get another surgery.
Wow. So they went for it. They get in there and they said, okay, we a little bit more going on here.
Yeah. And it ended up being, recovery was a lot worse than what they had originally projected or told me. So it kind of got me a little down on that, because originally surgery was the end of June. I think the 18th of June, 19th, somewhere around there, I had surgery, and they were telling me, projecting October 1st, and said I'd be back to normal. Well, October 5th, I was still on a walker. So
wow.
I just got off the walker shortly before Christmas and had a cane, but here, probably the last 2 weeks now, I've got to where I don't really walk around without the cane anymore. Look like an 80-year-old man walking around like I just farted in my pants, but hey.
I saw your pants.
Well, farted, a little something extra come out maybe, but it's the way I walk around my back a little bit, but it's slowly loosening up every day.
Yeah, we getting back. And one of the things that I've admired about your recovery is that when you've been able to go to the gym, you go. And your kind of your philosophy is, hey, even if I'm not getting a lot done, I'm here and I'm creating the habit, right?
Yeah, I just want to get back in the habit. Sometimes it's the old saying, the heaviest weights in the gym are the front doors.
Right, I like that.
I tell people, go in there. If you're getting back in it, just go. And if you want to go and just sit in a chair there in the lounge for 10, 15 minutes a day, walk in there and go sit down the first day. Next day, you might want to get up and walk around, go to the massage chair. Nothing else. Right. Before long, you'll at least get on the treadmill, but you're going to the gym every day as opposed to sitting at the house and saying, I'll go tomorrow.
Yeah, establishing those habits, right? Got a little pause in the action there. You're frozen on my screen. You better now? That's good now.
You were frozen up on mine. I was feeling good, but you were frozen, so it's good now.
Same thing. So I think Riverside will fix that. But anyway, excuse me. You were out of the game for a bit. I mean, months. And so how did that go on the business front? You got this pond business. You got employees. It's your brother doing things. People need sales. People need direction. How did it all work? What was the effect of you being really away from the office, so to speak?
I guess you could say, luckily, a couple of years back, I decided to start investing in myself and get coaching. So I don't know, we're able to say other people's coaches on this program.
No, we don't talk about other people's coaching.
I'm not going to say nothing.
No. So you worked with Steve Rosenberg. You worked with, who else did you work for?
Well, absolutely. Contractor fight there for a while. That's what kind of got me off the, years ago, I thought we really did good. I can kind of give you a quick brief story if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, back in 2018, I guess I thought we were rocking it. We were grossing $285,000, for a deputy sheriff salary, which was $44,000 at the time a year. I mean, 280 some odd thousand, that was pretty good. And I thought we were killing it. Right. Well, then I got to hanging around with a few other people that were doing a little better and a little more. And next thing I know, I'm in the contractor fight, learning that we weren't really making money, and started selling. Well, the following year, I think we did a little over 580. And then kind of stayed stagnant for a year or so there at the 580 mark. And then we finally, 2019 or 2020, right there when COVID hit, we finally hit right there, sold over 1 million, but only produced 900,000. And then the following year, we went over 1 million and produced over the million and hadn't looked back since.
Nice.
Part of that contributed, like I said, for the learning how to sell the things, but then it kind of got to where I kind of capped out right there at the million mark or just shy before it. So I picked up on come across Steve Rosenberg at a thing and his style of coaching, everything, and talks about systems in place. So he came in to a 2-day event there at my shop with just our team, little like one-on-one type training. Started telling us how we need to get the systems in place, things like that. And that was in January. And luckily we started getting the systems in place because, like I said, when April come along and I was down and couldn't even walk, I wasn't even able to go in the office or do much anything other than on the phone. But we were able to get our systems in place over the course of last summer. Once I went in for the surgery and was under the medication, the pain pills and all that, I told them don't even contact me more or less for about 2 months. I was like, because I'm not going to be in the right mind frame to even make a decision. Well, when I got better there in July, August, business was still operating and we still had money coming in. So I guess everything went good.
Well, that's, I'm glad it's all kind of turning out great. Think about how fortunate you are to have kind of gone after some coaching and mentoring and then got with Steve and said, okay, I got to get this stuff in place. And, you and I both talk with Steve a lot. And one of the things he'll say is that if you can't do what he usually call the fishing test or whatever, step away from your business for a week or two and come back and have it be the same. If it's not that way, then you don't have a business, you have a job.
Yeah. And it being out for those months, it could be hard. So, luckily I had folks, friends, mentors, coaches like you that were able to help, start. That's when I contacted you back and was like, hey, Bob, I got to have somebody to help get my mindset right again. Cause it's sitting here in the bed going crazy all day is like, I'm not in the right mind frame to get back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of good conversations and we have a lot of fun, but we get some work done and it's been fun to be along this ride and see you digging and you're recovering and not giving up, but also getting to know your guys and getting to know the crew. And I was just telling someone today on one of my coaching calls this, as you guys all grow, I got to learn all these guys' names, And I said, hey, I know Bubba's whole crew now, and it's kind of fun. It's fun to get to know those guys. So I appreciate you bringing me into the fold. Speaking of leadership, you lead your company, but you're leading it different than some do. You're out, you're going to events, you're traveling a little bit. You're truly working, in my mind, on the business most of the time versus in the business. What kind of leadership do you have in place? And what is your leadership philosophy overall with regard to your business?
Well, I think the more you can learn, the more you can grow, the better you can lead. And trying to bring the guys up. I've got a couple of younger guys I'm trying to mentor and coach them a little bit and try to get them to become leaders and step up. I've got, as the old saying goes, some people are ditch diggers and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's all they ever want to be. And if that's just all they want to be, then you can't, no matter how much I want them to be something else, they can't be anything else.
Right.
I've got a few of those on the team that basically they're wheelbarrow guys and that's all they want to be. I got to have somebody on the team that does that. But then I've got a couple of young ones and some of them that want to grow. They want to learn. And anytime we have an event or go things like that, I open it up and tell the guys, hey, who wants to go? So, and sometimes I had to word it a little different that, hey, if you want to pay your own way and you've proved to me here 3 months later that it was worth going to and you show me you got value, I'll reimburse you for it. And I kind of weed them out and see who it is that actually is wanting to grow from there. And I've got a couple going with me this weekend coming up to your event on Saturday. I've got a few that said, hey, I want to go to the event. And I'm like, my rule. And they're like, yeah, they're all for it. So I'll find out from there. And they're either looking to have a good time. They think Portland's a happening city, or I don't know, maybe they really want to learn something.
Maybe a little bit of both.
They may be in for a surprise from last time I was in Portland. But
that's good. Saturday morning, we'll be like, where are these guys, Bubba? I don't know. I saw them about 11 o'clock last night. Well, it's cool. And kudos to you for being able to provide that kind of opportunity for a young guy. Think about being that age and sometimes all you need is someone just to take a little bit of interest in you, right? Give you that shot and give you, understand that, you just need a little bit of a leg up and get going. So mad respect for you for being able to provide that opportunity to others. And I'll tell you guys that are listening, Bubba would never tell anybody, but he's also bought a whole table for our event this weekend. And he's thrown it out to a few other people that, hey, listen, if what it takes to get you to the event is not having to buy a ticket, come sit at my table. So if that's not leadership and mentorship, I don't know what is, my man. So good for you. I appreciate that. I appreciate being around it. And I'm glad you're coming to the event. I appreciate your support. So, well,
I'm
good
hoping not
stuff.
to be disappointed.
Now, one of those speakers leaves a little bit to be desired, but Steve and Gary are pretty good guys. So
I hadn't met Gary yet, but my brother, though, we laugh and joke about all the time. He made some comment. He's like, so is the other guy Gary, like, he's got Steve, it's kind of noted out there. So Bob's like, you don't want to be the low man, so he brings this Gary guy in to be the low man on the totem pole, makes you look bigger.
That's a good idea. I should have got some stiff, right?
That's what David thought maybe you're trying to do, make you look that much better.
No, but you know what? I do make the agenda, so I'm not following Steve.
That's why you start out.
I've tried that before. That's not a good time. So no, Gary's a good cat. He's pretty well established too. He's a mindset guy. He works with some NFL teams. He has a program called Game Plan for Life. And I got connected with him just through social media. And I think he was at Ben Newman's boot camp in 2023 that I went to. And he and I never even connected. We were at the same event and never really met, and he reached out afterwards, and I said, well, let's get together. And he said, hey, if you ever do an event, I'd love to speak. And so I had remembered that. And so this year last year we did 6 or 7 speakers, and they were local people, all from Southern Maine. This year we stepped it up, and Steve's coming in from Houston, Gary from Seattle. And it's been fun. It's been fun to put together. It's stressful. It's work, to do anything like that. And I said to Wendy a couple of days ago, I'm not doing this next year. She goes, you don't make that decision this week. You don't make that decision this week. I said, okay. Someday, though.
You got a couple other events coming up here this year.
Because there's a lot going on with it. But, yeah. Oh, you're there now? So, yeah, for some reason, Riverside's been a little bit off for me. These past few podcasts I've done, it gets a little bit janky. But are you using Chrome?
Yeah, I downloaded the Chrome and got it rolling. So I know when me and Anthony did a podcast, we had a little problem at first. The first time we tried to do it, it wasn't working at all. It messed up. Riverside started out the first 15 seconds or 20 seconds and just kept screwing up.
Yeah, I've done a couple of times. I've done them, and I've just sent them the file, and they just straighten it out, which is good. So I just tell people, if it feels like it's screwing up, just keep going. As long as you can stay with it, and they'll straighten it out. So. Well, you get out around to you're well known. You're certainly well known in the event circuit, if you will, and people that do professional development and personal development. Talk about having the right peer group, or the getting in the right tribe, or just having the right people around you. I always say, I don't always say, I always hear and repeat, get in the right rooms, right? That comes from somewhere. So how has that impacted you?
Right room, big table. I guess a couple of different people call it different things, but I don't know. It was a year or two ago, I guess, at an event. I heard John Maxwell speaking, and he talked about there's this more or less a thing called the people pool, and most people are average, and higher achievers, they don't like average. And do you want to be average, or do you want to get out there and get out of the people pool? So he does a thing which he always talks about. You never eat lunch alone, number one, and then also for everybody you come across, who do you know that I should know?
I like that one.
And started asking that, and it's opened a lot of doors, windows, things like that. I mean, it's introduced me to a lot of people here in the last 2 years now that I never would have thought I could get to know, or be close to, things like that. So,
well, you're a people connector.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily even have to be somebody that's well known. I mean, we laugh and talk about different people that it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. He may know everybody that nobody even really knows who he is, but he knows everybody and can put you in connection. Because it's like, Maxwell talks about how a friend of his, he asked him who he knew that he should know, and the guy was friends with John Wooden and introduced the two, and they become friends for 15, 16 years, I think it was, and he went and Wooden mentored him and wrote the preface to his book, I think, when he was on his deathbed at 98 whatever years old.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, on a smaller scale, it just, you've said to me, hey, I think you'd enjoy meeting Steve Rosenberg. And, I came out to Memphis, spoke at your event. Next thing I know, I'm going down to Houston, spent a couple of days with Steve. And before that, we had connected, and he said, hey, if you ever do an event, bam, I lined him up for my event. While I stopped in Dallas, saw you in Dallas, saw Jacob Salem speak. You connected me with him after that. He's been helping me. So it just kind of, it's interesting, when you get the right people around you, how it can compress the journey a little bit, if you will.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh yeah. And then of course you got Johnny Wan that's got you kicked on the live 365 this year.
Met Johnny Wan, and he said to me, the biggest thing that helped me with my coaching business is going live every day. I just turned around and ran for the door. I said, I'm going home to go live every day. That costs $0. Basically.
Yeah, and I was laughing talking to Johnny on the phone the other day, and that's what we're talking about it. And he goes, I guess I got to go do whatever Bob's doing or find out and get his friend list or something. He goes, because I don't give it 5 or 6 people. He goes, he's getting 18 and 20. I noticed the other day. He's like, I was like, well, I said, you also got to realize Bob's logged into every device on his house too, under different names.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm paying people. Hey, would you show up on Thursday for about 8:00?
You got to wake up. You Central Time people got to get up earlier.
Yeah. That's true too. I probably should do it a little bit later and get the West Coast people, but got to get on with a day too. Right. And so, but it's been good. Today was day 56, I think. And man, time flies. But when we, in the coaching and mentoring arena, if you will, one of the things we talk about is consistency. And what a way to kind of walk the walk, practice what you preach, than to just say, I'm gonna do this every single day for 365 days, 370, because I started early. And when you think about it, add 52 to that because I go live on Tuesday nights for my summit group, and then add another 52 to that because I do a Monday morning live inside one of our school communities. So there's another 104 lives in there. Pushing 500 times. I gotta believe that'll have an effect.
It's got to help because it's like everybody says, they don't like getting on the live Facebook lives or nothing. You're only bad until you're not anymore. So I mean, at 500 some odd times, you ought to be at least tolerable by then.
Well, yeah, exactly. And people get tired of my face or whatever, just swipe on by, right? You don't have to listen to it, but I'm just trying to bring a little value every day, whether it's business related. The weekends, I think we kind of get a little more warm and fuzzy, talk about the more the personal development stuff, but I've been trying to keep it business related. And I think it was, I can't remember who said it to me, but they said, you talk a lot about motivation and mental toughness and discipline and this, but everybody's already been doing hard stuff for a while because of the economy and COVID and all that. A lot about business. Share that for a while. And so I just kind of, took that for what it was worth and said, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I've been just dropping what I know for knowledge every morning and engaging the people that are on the call too. I'm a big community guy like you. You're a connector of people. And I feel like I've always been a gatherer of people. Hey, let's go climb the mountain, all that kind of stuff. So speaking of which, last year we had Bubba up to Island Falls, Maine, to take a shot at climbing Mount Katahdin. Now, the knees and everything else, this was before your back issue, right?
Yeah, probably caused the back issue, thinking back.
Probably looking for an insurance number on that. So, yeah, didn't make it to the top, but made it to Chimney Pond, which is no small feat, which is a 5K over boulders and everything. And so we had this moment. It was interesting where I was the leader of the hike, and I said, hey, guys, Bubba's hurting here. Not going to make it up. So I'm going to go back with him. And everybody's like, no, you're not. We want you to come with us. And I had that moment as a leader of a hike where, it's like the Marines, right? No one left behind. I said to Bubba, I said, I need you to stay right here for like 5.5 hours. We'll be right back. So we went up, we summited, came back down, picked Bubba up, went back down the mountain. Even though you didn't make it to the top, it was still a great experience. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, it was great. Heck, I enjoyed laying there at the lake with the mountains all around it. Just kicked back and laid there for, like I said, 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, all of that, yeah.
It was well worth it.
Yeah, we had a good time. And, I don't know anyone that makes the effort to get out and get around and do some things like you do. You really enjoy traveling, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we grew up as a kid traveling a lot. And of course, like I said, my dad was a deputy too. So some of our trips and travel, it's more affordable and economic. It wasn't lavish 5-star resorts. I mean, we did a lot of camping in a tent as a kid, but we traveled.
Yeah.
I can remember around. When I was young, I mean, we're from Memphis, but we went out west for 30 days in a tent. Started in Oklahoma, Kansas City. I mean, as a kid, I toured and I was well versed and traveled. We went out to Yosemite and, Mount Rushmore, every national park pretty much all around the West Coast and everything. And of course, we'd go to the mountains in Gatlinburg. I guess that's kind of where the love of waterfalls kind of come over the years, is going to Gatlinburg and the Smoky Mountains and seeing the streams and everything over the years. And pretty much every summer we'd go there because my great grandma lived in North Carolina. So my mom would always want to go up and see her grandma every year. So growing up and all, we always went up there every single year.
It's funny. That's the stuff you remember too. It's not the high dollar stuff, right? It's not the material stuff. It's the time.
And that's where with my kids, it's like when they're younger, sometimes I started working and I got to thinking, I can work and make money later. You can't make memories when the kids are grown. So you got to start doing that. And I had a partner that me and him were playing golf on a Tuesday, and that Wednesday afternoon he was in intensive care and never came out pretty much. 2 years later, he ended up dying. So, I mean, it's one of those, I learned from there. It's like any chance you get the opportunity to go on a trip or spend time with somebody, especially your loved ones or people you care about, spend that time. Money will come later.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, you don't get the time back. They're not making any more of it.
No. And my kids, they've been well-traveled over the years too. We've done a lot of stuff for the camping when they're younger. I mean, we do some nice cruises. We do some resorts. We do things. And of course, it's kind of funny that I think it was one of my kids was in 7th or 8th grade. The teacher was teaching, and they were talking about different locations and places. And is anybody, nobody's been there. One of my kids was raising their hands like, yeah, we have. We've been here. We've been there. And the teacher went to my wife, because my wife taught, and they're like, I think somebody was like in their line or something. They're like almost accusing them of lying. And my wife is like, Amy is like, no, we've been to all those places. And the teacher's like, really? So it's like, we do a lot of travel.
Yeah, it takes some effort. It takes some time. It's some effort and some money. So kudos to you for doing it. And you're not just doing it with 1 or 2 kids. You got a whole basketball team there.
Yeah, I got 4 girls, 1 boy. So my baby boy, he's in pharmacy school now. So they're pretty much all in college but 1 now. So that, like I said, that takes on the other feet of I wish I'd have listened to other people back in the younger days and saved up for college. And so now it's like, instead of buying diapers, I'm paying college tuition. So we got to cash flow that.
Yeah, they say, everybody says, oh, once the kid's 18, this and that. They don't go off the P&L. The problems and things just get more expensive. Things they do, right? You're still paying. So I remember Bailey was in dance from a very early age, and I just felt like I had a kid in college in 7th grade. Just keep writing those checks. But my mother always said it's cheaper than rehab. Keep them going, keep them busy, right? Keep them out of trouble. Yeah. So,
unfortunately, my son has love for college and wanted to spend 5 years there to get 3 degrees, and before he decided to want to go on pharmacy school.
Yeah, he's getting the. We got jammed up again. Maybe that'll clear up in a second. I'm probably jammed up on yours. He's going for pharmacy school, right?
Yeah, now he's got another 4 years, and then intern or whatever. I don't know what all, residency, whatever else he does here for another 4 or 5 years and schooling again.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, it'll be worth it, right? Take care of Dad when he's older.
He's promised me and Amy the not the state-ran facility retirement home. He's going to put us up in a nice private institution. Take care of us when we're old. That's the guarantee he's given me.
Well, there you go.
We'll hold him up to that one because I ain't going to have any money left for it.
Well, you keep doing well in business, and who knows, right? Stretch that pond business out to a couple other states. Hey, that my thing is finding your edge, right? We just got the books coming out tonight. We got the event this weekend. I'm excited about it. I'm glad you're coming up. I like to ask everyone when they come on the podcast what their edge is. So I'll ask you, what's your edge?
I don't know. There for a while, I really wasn't sure, but here lately, it's kind of seems like everything keeps coming back around. That I know you said everybody at least has 1 book in them, and I keep hearing other people talk about the successful people have written a book, authored a book. So for some reason that's stuck in my mind now to kind of do a book. But it's like you talk about connecting people together, and I put on a little small event, mostly fine people, but it ended up being some other contractors come in back in December. And I really enjoyed that, doing the connection. And also I'm looking at possibly doing that, but maybe a little bit of a small mentorship, small group type thing, masterminding some groups like that, and maybe some smaller coaching, not really anything serious, but helping folks out that, maybe on the brink of smaller, to see what they can do to help scale a little bit to get to the stepping stone. Because it's like I tell a lot of people with a lot of the coaches, it's almost like starting out with T-ball. Some coaches can only take you so far. You got to have that one coach that's good and works with people that can tolerate them and help them out when they're in T-ball, and then they get little league and then high school and college and the pros. Most professional managers couldn't go coach a T-ball team probably.
Yeah. So leveraging your experience in both law enforcement and business, and as a dad, scratching that mentor itch sometime, here in the future, and just continuing to bring people together. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about the book, and probably labeling it, WBD. What would Bubba do?
Oh, I thought you meant Bob.
I might go that. No, it could be Bob. No, you're not going to steal that one. I've already trademarked that one. So
right, you probably got my website already.
It's like the other day with the website. Somebody's talking. I done went and bought like 15 website domains. All these things and all these different names.
Summit, Peak, you getting them all? Yeah, Mr. Turner. We can sell you these, but this person, Bubba Hogan, has these sites.
Yeah, I figure if you ever make it big, it was worth that $3 I spent on it. For 1 year, I can lock it in for a year or 3 years, and I can either renew it or let it go.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hey, the other question I ask people is, based on life really to this point, 5 kids, married, career in the sheriff's office, successful business, bad back, fighting your way through all the things, all in a pile. What do you want people to know? What do you say to most people? What comes out of your mouth the most often? And we joked on the front end of this podcast, make sure you tell people what you want them to know, because 11 people are going to hear it, maybe 12. But if somebody were to watch this, what do you want people to know?
I think it's one of those things that, don't ever be scared to ask for help from people. Don't sit there. Most people are wanting to help somebody, but like myself, some people don't want to hear advice from somebody if it's unsolicited. So if you need help, call somebody. They're probably more than happy to help. But a lot of people that are willing to help, they also are wise enough to know that most people aren't going to listen to unsolicited advice. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it is, if you're hurting and need help, call somebody up. I know, like, I don't hesitate to call you or Steve or other people. If I got the phone number, worst case, you're going to say, no, you can't do it. Either no, or you ignore me. And then I know, you really don't care. Right. Most times somebody's going to stop to help somebody because, like Ziegler always said, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you're going to get what you want.
Exactly. Secret sauce that I'm trying to use. And that's what frankly put me in this chair, so to speak, was just being willing, like you, excuse me, to hop on the phone with a guy or a girl, whatever. Just say, hey, what do you got going? How can I help you the most? And here we are. So, well, man, this has been great. It was good to we have coaching calls and we do this and we do that. It seems like we're always going 100 miles an hour. I think we're supposed to have one here in a little bit. I think so, yeah. Wendy said, is Bubba on your schedule twice tomorrow? I said, that son of a bitch. I can't take 2 of him in one day. We'll get it done. I got another podcast after this, I think. So I thought it'd be a good idea to shoot a couple podcasts, have a book launch, have an event.
That's why I texted you this morning. I was like, I got to thinking. I was like, you're talking about being stressed and everything. I was like, is this a good day, or do we need to put this off another week or two? I wasn't even thinking.
We'll get through it. Keep it
great, crazy, and everything. Is like the stuff you need to be doing. So
probably won't come out until next week, but we'll have it recorded, and hopefully not too many glitches. But
by then everybody's going to see me going live on the summit. There Saturday morning. Bob's live page. I'm going to get a hold of your phone and just start the live up when the event starts. You get on stage and I'll go ahead and start it live and break it in the intro in there for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is Bubba Hogan coming live from Southern Maine with some lobster
tails.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. I wish you guys were coming in earlier Friday. We could have you up here to the house and hang out. Steve will be up and Gary's coming up. Gary's bringing his wife, so it'll be a good group and it'll be fun. But either way, we'll get a chance to bang around on Saturday, and then we'll find a steakhouse or something for Saturday night. We'll figure something out. See, I got Wendy working on how many people are going to be around and interested in that. So
yeah, polar plunge Sunday morning.
Polar plunge Sunday morning. We'll maybe find a place to have some breakfast after that. So
I got a couple of people that are coming with me are a little nervous and worried about it. They were looking at the weather and looking at the ocean temperatures and stuff like that. And I was like, well, Bob said it's going to be they said, where are we doing it? I was like, Bob said the ocean because he didn't have a chainsaw to cut the ice in the lake.
I do have a chainsaw, but we ain't doing that. We're going to the ocean. So tell him to he's going to have to put his Crocs in 4-wheel drive, put the straps down in the back. If you run in, run out, get it done. And you got to go underwater.
Yeah, David says he's got a new pair of Speedos they're insulated and got the little thickness there in the front. It won't be so bad getting out.
Put my wetsuit on for my triathlon days. So we'll have a good time. And I'm glad you're coming up. I appreciate you bringing people with you, truly leading from the front. you're a guy that makes big moves, and I appreciate that, and follow suit in a few different ways. So looking forward to seeing you. I appreciate you. I'm loving working with you, and I appreciate your friendship and mentorship over the past couple of years. And even though David's your brother, we'll do this again sometime. I know
he's good. Maybe he can get on here with me next time. We can do it.
Yeah, we'll stay on after I hit stop, so we make sure this uploads. But guys, this has been the Summit Podcast. This has been Bubba Hogan, the Mid-South Pond dude from Memphis, Tennessee. And he also has Panhandle Ponds, does some stuff in Florida. There he is, folks, in his splendor. He's nothing if he's not a practical joker, so watch out, because he's gotten me before. I'll tell you about that another time. But Bubba, thanks again. I'll see you this weekend. I appreciate you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bob.